Hello, I'm Craig Brailsford, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with executives of two public companies. First up is Genetic Technologies. Genetic Technologies is a diversified molecular diagnostics company, a global leader in genomics-based tests in health, wellness, and serious disease through its GeneType and EasyDNA brands. Gene offers cancer predictive testing and assessment tools to help physicians improve health outcomes for people around the world. The company has a proprietary risk stratification platform that has been developed over the past decade and integrates clinical and genetic risk to deliver actionable outcomes to physicians and individuals. Leading the world in risk prediction in oncology, cardiovascular, and metabolic diseases, Genetic Technologies continues to develop risk assessment products. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Up next is BioVie. BioVie is a clinical stage company developing innovative drug therapies for the treatment of neurological and neurodegenerative disorders and advanced liver disease. In neurodegenerative disease, the company's drug candidate, bezisterim, inhibits inflammatory activation that leads to neuroinflammation and insulin resistance, believed to be drivers of Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. In liver disease, the company's orphan drug candidate, BIVI 201, continuous infusion terlipressin with U.S. FDA Fast Track status, is being evaluated and discussed with guidance received from the FDA regarding the design of Phase 3 clinical testing of BIVI 201 for the treatment of ascites due to chronic liver cirrhosis. The active agent is approved in the United States and in about 40 countries for related complications of advanced liver cirrhosis. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to the first interview, our quote of the week. It comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. The most important lesson I've learned working in the microcap space is that winners are winners and losers are losers. Stick with the ones that are working and don't make the mistake of exiting too early. This quote comes from Michael Corbett of Parrot Capital Management, and it is featured in Chapter 2 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with Genetic Technologies. Hello, today we have Peter Rubenstein, Executive Chairman of Genetic Technologies, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol GENE. Peter, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
For those in our audience who may not be familiar with Genetic Technologies, Peter, please give us a brief introduction to the company and explain how your GeneType platform is transforming the landscape of personalized medicine and disease prevention.
Thank you. Genetic Technologies has been on the NASDAQ now for almost 20 years. We're dual listed with Australia and the United States, and it's been a wonderful journey. We're involved in the Human Genome Project back 19 years ago, and our current platform, our genetic risk assessment tests, cover 9 different serious diseases, and they're the top 6 cancers: type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular. And it's a simple cheek swab that we process in our laboratory in Houston, which we've outsourced all our lab work to. It's a high throughput lab that can do 100,000 tests per month. So what we do is to cover both your genetics and your clinical risk. That's your medical history all in one test, and that allows you to determine your risk of developing these common complex diseases, which account for about 70% of all diseases.
The global launch of GeneType on that EasyDNA platform, it marks a significant milestone for Genetic Technologies, Peter. Can you explain how this launch is set to drive revenue growth and enhance profitability for the company?
Yes, thank you. We have a platform, which is the Easy DNA platform, which is cutting across 40 countries. It sells health and wellness products, paternity testing, and similar disease-related genetic tests. And what we've done now is to provide our gene type platform, making it available on this wholly owned Easy DNA platform. So it allows us to increase our gross margin to about 70% because it's an in-house developed product being sold on an in-house owned platform. And now that the market has, I guess, become more readily accepting of our types of tests, we think it's time to provide a consumer-initiated test, which allows the individual to order the test and then bring their doctor in as part of the process, or we do that via telehealth.
Now, Peter, Genetic Technologies is transitioning to a capital light operating model that is expected to reduce cash burn and move the company towards profitability by the end of 2025. Tell us more about this exciting strategy.
So what we've been able to do is previously we've had our laboratory activities in Australia. We would get a sample from the United States. It would be sent back to our CLIA and NADA accredited lab, and we would then, using the cloud, send the results back to the practitioner. We could do about 2,000 tests per month in our lab in Australia. We've now outsourced our laboratory activities to a lab in Houston through the Gene by Gene group, and that is a high throughput lab that allows 100,000 tests to be processed each month. So that's a big reduction in cost. The second area is we're working with B2B groups for distribution of our products rather than doing it all in-house with our own dedicated sales force. And we have some very advanced activities going on with those B2B groups with massive market interest. And thirdly is we've got processes in place that allow us to scale up that activity with groups like DNA Nexus, where all of the activities are done in the cloud, the integration with the consumer and with the doctor and the access of the patient data, all has to be very secure, but very process driven. So those three elements, including our outsourcing of our R&D activities, we've been involved in R&D over the last 10 years, and we've developed some very strong relationships with groups like Harvard Medical School and University of Melbourne and other leading eminent institutions. We're now going to be working with them to commercialize the output of their activities where we are the commercial frontliner.
Now, Peter, payer coverage in the U.S. will likely be a key driver of revenues. Could you elaborate on the current engagements with major U.S. payers such as Humana and Aetna, and how these partnerships are expected to scale adoption of gene type tests?
Yes, getting reimbursement is a big factor, and at the moment the tests are not reimbursed. The out-of-pocket cost is about $350 US, which is very cheap for what we're providing. There is a massive sector of the functional medicine, preventative health, those sorts of activities. We are in discussions with payers, and it is as people will be aware, a lengthy process. We have a market cap of $4 million US. Once we get reimbursement, that figure will be a multiple of that. So it is a challenge initially, but we are getting people and practitioners who support our tests now. And given the low cost, there is a very big market segment that is prepared to pay $350 to potentially, change their destiny.
Your partnerships with leading telehealth and healthcare providers, including Stay Healthy and Gene by Gene, are integral to your U.S. expansion. How do these partnerships enhance your ability to scale and deliver risk assessment tools more effectively?
So, groups like Gene by Gene, they are a high throughput lab. Their whole core business is being the picks and shovels for groups like ours. And, if we do 1,000 tests per month, we'll be in their top 20 customers. But it's really about developing the ability to scale and to have those processes in place that are tier one, that are credible, HIPAA compliant, with all the elements that are required to maintain our CLIA and NATA regulatory approvals. So we're setting ourselves up to be a tier one player for the United States market. Anyone above the age of 30 is our target, and it will get very dramatic, and the volumes will be significant.
Now, in summary, Peter, what is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in genetic technologies today?
Genetics is now part of the fabric of society. As I mentioned, 19 years ago, the Human Genome Project started, cost $1 billion to sequence the whole genome. It's now under $1,000. Our test is starting to resonate with the community around, well, I look like my father, but what about on the inside? And it's on the inside that we're looking at. So what is the cause of disease? Is it nature or is it nurture? We cover both in our test. One simple saliva-based test tells you your risk of 70% of all causes of mortality and morbidity before onset. And it's a very dramatic opportunity to take charge of your own health, to work with your practitioner, and to stay healthy. That's really what it's about. Catching disease early is really an important part of moving forwards. We save costs for the health system and we save lives.
An opportunity to take control of your own health. That sounds really strong, Peter. Thank you for sharing your story with us today.
My pleasure. And to everybody, please stay healthy, and look forward to sharing more updates in the future.
Now, to get more information on genetic technologies, visit genetechinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like genetic technologies. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book written by RedChip's CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's move on to our next interview today with BioVie. Hello there. Today we have Cuong Do, President and CEO of BioVie, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BIVI. Cuong, thanks for being with us today.
Great. Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure.
BioVie is at the forefront of developing innovative therapies for neurodegenerative diseases and advanced liver disease. Could you share with our audience the strategic vision behind BioVie's focus on neuroinflammation as a core target for treating Alzheimer's and Parkinson's diseases?
We believe that chronic low-grade inflammation is the starting point for many things that start to go wrong in the body. Right? Chronic low-grade inflammation is mediated by something called TNF-alpha. Right? And it's considered to be the master regulator of inflammation. Whenever you start with TNF-alpha, it's going to produce more TNF-alpha to create more inflammation. It's going to create more APP, which leads to more amyloid plaques. And it's going to create insulin resistance and many, many other things as well. So that's why our drug candidate, bezisterim, has been shown to be a phenomenal molecule, uniquely block inflammation at just the right place and right time. And that's why we believe it could be applicable for Alzheimer's, for Parkinson's, for long COVID, and so forth.
Bezisterim, which is your lead asset, Cuong, has shown promising results in reducing inflammation and insulin resistance in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients. What are the key differentiators that set bezisterim apart from other therapies currently in development for these neurodegenerative conditions?
In clinical trials so far, Alzheimer's patients taking bezisterim for just 6 months have experienced a 68% slowing of cognitive decline. And the number one safety concern was a mild headache reported by fewer than 10% of patients. In contrast, the FDA has approved 2 drugs, one from Lilly and one from Eisai, that reduce cognitive decline by roughly 30% over the course of 18 months of treatment. And those drugs have significant safety concerns around brain swelling and brain bleeding. Now, I don't give you these numbers to give you a head-to-head comparison. That can only be done in one clinical trials. These numbers are purely meant to give you some comparative sense of the huge impact that we're seeing with bezisterim in Alzheimer's. In Parkinson's, patients that were taking bezisterim and the standard of care, which is the drug levodopa, for just 28 days experienced significantly greater motor control, particularly when they wake up first thing in the morning. Roughly a third of patients taking bezisterim had control of their muscles first thing in the morning, compared to those just given levodopa alone. They could not move, could not get out of bed, which unfortunately is the problem that many, many patients now experience with just levodopa, the standard of care for Parkinson's.
Now, just to reiterate that, you say bezisterim has demonstrated improvements in motor control for Parkinson's and cognitive function in Alzheimer's patients. Is that right, Kong?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
Now, looking ahead, with that upcoming phase 2b in Parkinson's trial launching this fall and the phase 3 Alzheimer's trial slated for next year, what are the next major milestones that investors and patients should be excited about?
In Parkinson's, we aim to start enrolling patients later on this year or early next year and have top-line data readout by the end of 2025. We aim to start the next Alzheimer's trial by roughly that time, end of 2025, and have top-line data by 2020, late 26, early 27 or so. But in between then, we will also be launching a new trial in long COVID. We have received a $13 million grant to support this trial. And you may ask the question, what does inflammation have to do with long COVID, right? What does Alzheimer's and Parkinson's have to do with long COVID? It all has to do with inflammation. Recent work in the last couple of years have shown that conditions of long COVID, symptoms of long COVID, are tied to inflammation, right? And this is a real problem because roughly 5% of Americans right now are afflicted with long COVID symptoms. And it's so debilitating that almost 4 million Americans have had to change their job or career trajectory simply because they cannot keep up with the work demands that they were able to do before. And this grant really goes to test the hypothesis that if bezisterim can block inflammation, could it work for long COVID patients? Because nothing else works right now. So that's what we're going to go and do. We're going to go and see if we can make this work. That trial will start enrolling in early 2025, and the top-line results is expected in early 2026.
In summary, Kong, what is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in BioVie right now?
I believe we represent a terrific buying opportunity, an investment opportunity for investors who have a 2-year timing horizon. We have in one drug, bezisterim, a very unique modulator of inflammation. And as a result of that, Parkinson's patients have seen dramatically greater motor control. Alzheimer's patients have seen a 68% slowing of cognitive decline. And we hopefully will be able to show its impact on long COVID patients as well, offering a first therapy for those who are afflicted. And I believe the clinical readouts that we will have over the course of the next 2 years will create great catalysts for investors. And I believe this not only because I'm the CEO, I'm also one of the largest shareholders in the company as well. And I continue to participate in the various fundraising efforts that we go through.
It's a fascinating and compelling story, Kong. Thank you for sharing it with us today.
Thank you for having me on to share our great story. Please go to our website and learn more, which is biovipharma.com, right? And everything can be found there. Thank you.
Now, to get more information on BioVie, visit biviinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RED-CHIP to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com. featuring emerging growth companies like BioVie. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small-cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can order Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon for $18. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met Genetic Technologies, GENE, on the NASDAQ. Genetic Technologies is a diversified molecular diagnostics company, a global leader in genomics-based tests in health, wellness, and serious disease through its Gene Type and Easy DNA brands. Gene offers cancer predictive testing and assessment tools to help physicians improve health outcomes for people around the world. The company has a proprietary risk stratification platform that has been developed over the past decade and integrates clinical and genetic risk to deliver actionable outcomes to physicians and individuals. Leading the world in risk prediction in oncology, cardiovascular, and metabolic diseases, Genetic Technologies continues to develop risk assessment products. Learn more at www.genetechinfo.com. Then you met BioVie, stock symbol BIVI on the NASDAQ. BioVie is a clinical stage company developing innovative drug therapies for the treatment of neurological and neurodegenerative disorders and advanced liver disease. In neurodegenerative disease, the company's drug candidate, bezisterim, inhibits inflammatory activation that leads to neuroinflammation and insulin resistance, believed to be drivers of Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. In liver disease, the company's orphan drug candidate, BIV201, continuous infusion terlipressin, with U.S. FDA Fast Track status, is being evaluated and discussed with guidance received from the FDA regarding the design of Phase 3 clinical testing of BIV201 for the treatment of ascites due to chronic liver cirrhosis. The active agent is approved in the United States and in about 40 countries for related complications of advanced liver cirrhosis. Learn more at www.biviinfo.com. Don't forget to check out our stocks page. It is the biggest small-cap stock portal in the industry. Every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and less. And it's categorized by industries. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small-cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. And be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small-cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-REDCHIP or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies, so please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting, emerging growth companies.
Antimony is a critical mineral used in high-tech and the military, vital to America's national security and economy. But China and Russia control 80% of the world's supply. The U.S. government is rapidly securing a domestic supply of this critical mineral. Meet Nova Minerals, symbol NVA, with high-grade antimony discovered at its project in Alaska and prices at historic highs. Nova Minerals is on a mission to fully secure U.S. domestic supply of antimony. Nova Minerals, NVA.
20 million people annually end up in intensive care units and require mechanical ventilation. Now, Inspira Technologies, a NASDAQ company, symbol IINN, is developing a new technology that could disrupt the $19 billion mechanical ventilation market with an innovative life support system that elevates and stabilizes declining oxygen saturation levels without a ventilator. Inspira Technologies, stock symbol IINN.
Meet Sologenics, a NASDAQ company, stock symbol SNGX, now advancing a phase 3 pivotal clinical trial with Highbright for patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare and chronic cancer where abnormal T-cells attack the skin. In its phase 3 trial, showed statistical significance in its primary endpoint, working with leading scientists at Stanford, University of Pennsylvania, MD Anderson, and the Mayo Clinic, and potentially de-risk path to regulatory approvals worldwide. Sologenics, SNGX.
The global industrial laser market is a $21 billion industry. Meet Laser Photonics on the NASDAQ, stock symbol LASE, a vertically integrated manufacturer and research and development center for industrial laser technologies with a 40-year history. And now, LASE is developing disruptive military-grade laser shield technology that could potentially destroy drone swarms in a split second. Laser Photonics, everything laser, LASE on the NASDAQ.